So how are you doing?
Good thing.
Good? Baruch Hashem. Today we're going to ignite our curiosity with a question that I want to ask you, and if you're okay with that, then we'll go with it. So
I sent her a voice note with a question, but I didn't do a group message, so I don't know if it's something you're interested in.
I'm happy to learn anything.
okay. You want to ask the question, or should I?
Whatever you prefer.
It's the same. Go.
Okay.
Ask.
So we talked about Abraham, and we learned a lot last week, but one of the things that stuck with me was that Abraham had this tent where he would invite anyone and everyone to come through and eat. And through that act of kindness, that
Achnasat orchim.
Achnasat orchim, he got them to also believe in God.
Yes.
Correct? So I said that's really inclusive and a beautiful way to start a religion. So at what point did we change and become so exclusive? Because when you convert, it's a very like tenuous experience. If you really have to try very hard to show that you want to be Jewish, we're very much an exclusive religion. We are the chosen people. So what point do we turn from so inclusive to exclusive? And I also was relating it back to like the Black Plague and Napoleon, when they all like blamed the Jews for the Black Plague.
So that I don't know, but we're going to go for the first part of the question.
Okay.
We'll see for the Black
Plague.
Plague.
In the Black, I just want to say something about the Black Plague, because it was really interesting to me that they blamed the Jews because we had Natilat Yadayim, so we didn't get the Black Plague, and so that's how like they just like blamed us. So I was thinking like they keep
for escaping the epidemic.
About the Black Plague and all, it came from like the rats, basically like whatever. It was really bad, like it was a big death, and it was during the Napoleon Empire, and I remember reading about it in history and I remember reading a book about how they blamed the Jews. And so why blame the Jews? But we had Natilat Yadayim, and he had laws, halakha, of cleanliness, which they didn't have back then. They didn't even have soap, I don't think. They just like washed in perfume.
Especially French. You know that they have a very bad reputation of not being very clean. The French. No, I'm French, but I'm clean. But it's true that there is a reputation of people not being like very clean, not using the soap as often as they should.
Okay,
no,
interesting.
but that's not why.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
Also, anyway, so let's talk about, however, your perspective. But those are like the things that I was like thinking about once I left the class.
That's very interesting. And first, I want to dedicate that class. L'Refoua Shelema, Adel Miriam Bat Michal Alia, Eliyahu Hanavi Ben Tita Esther, Chana Lea Dvora Chaya Bat Mazal Tov, Yosef Ishai Ben Daniel Miriam. You have somebody else? No?
Gabriella Esther Bat Miriam.
Bezrat Hashem.
And Emma Malka Bat Miriam.
Bezrat Hashem. They should have a refuah shlema bekarov. Leilui Nishmat Chana Bat Aziza and Raphael Chaim Shlomo Ben Anais. Bezrat Hashem.
Claudia, I don't know her Hebrew name, Bat Malka.
Bezrat Hashem. Only good news. Okay, so let's start this class. So first of all, we are touching here two different stages in the mission of Am Yisrael. Okay?
I have to go, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry.
Wrong with my dog.
Oh, Besarat Tova Bezrat Hashem. Good news. Okay, so I'm just going to close the door. There are two different, actually your question approaches two different missions of Am Yisrael. So first we're going to see what was Abraham's mission. Abraham's mission was not to create the Jewish nation.
Okay.
Abraham's mission was to bring awareness to the world about Hashem, right? He was living in a world that was led by idolatry, paganism. Human beings at that time believed in that many different strengths where powers were leading the world, right? They saw the moon, they thought that the moon was a god. They saw I don't know, like an animal, they thought that it was a god, right? They gave power to many different forces in this world. And they also created idols, right? So they had an understanding of the world that was a wrong understanding of the world. So Avram's mission, and that's why he's the father of monotheism, like he's also the father of Islam and Christianity, when you think about it, right? They all refer to him as a forefather. Why? Because this is Abraham's mission was, okay, there is one God, and you have to meet with him. He's God who created earth and heaven. He created everything. Don't do idolatry. Pray Hakadosh Baruch. And this is one mission of Am Israel. The Jews are here, and we learned it in last week, 2 weeks ago, the parasha 2 weeks ago. You are a nation of priests, a holy nation that has for mission to be an or lagoim, to be a light for the nations. What light are we carrying? We're the torchbearer of Hashem's light. Oh, we are. Right? So this part of Am Israel, to be inclusive with all the nations, starts with Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu he's inclusive in the sense you have, all the humanity has to know Hashem. Exactly. So bringing awareness and also bringing the light of Hashem. See, meaning like
To the people.
the people, we were all created. The entire universe was created by a God who is a good God who wants the good for you. Right? So he's the Baal Emunah.
Baal Emunah.
Baal, he's the master
Okay.
of
Baal.
Emunah,
Emunah, belief.
right? Of belief, of faith. He's the one who is going to teach the entire humankind there is one God. Look at this God. And the God doesn't want you to kill your kids. He doesn't want you to sacrifice your wife. He doesn't want you to, right? What does he want? He wants you to follow 7 laws, the 7 laws of Noah.
Which one?
Which are basically like recognize that there is only one God. Don't kill. Respect your mother and father.
Don't commit adultery.
Don't commit idolatry that I'm not sure.
Like don't
Oh.
cheat.
Yes, no, that I'm not sure.
Oh, because that's part of the 10 commandments.
Yes, but
But
the
the
10
seven-
commandments is for the Jews.
Aha.
The 7 commandments of Noah, let me double check. We're going to find it.
I just, hold on.
No, don't worry, I have it here. The 7 Noahide laws. So you know that Noah was generations before Abraham.
Was he?
So, yeah, he was 10 generations.
It's before
Yes,
Abraham.
yes. Yeah,
So God was there before Abraham.
God is there at the creation. He was there before everything.
Before everything.
Okay,
God
so
made the world.
I don't know why it's so slow. Before the world was there,
Seven
Hashem was there.
generations.
So I think it's 10
Hold on, I have to
generations,
find it.
but it's here. Anyways, we're going to find it for some reason. Like here
gonna
are
find
the 7 Noahide laws.
Okay.
I'm going to have it. So it's the 7. Do not worship idols. Do not curse God. Do not murder. Do not engage in sexual immorality.
Okay.
Do not steal. Do not eat the limb of a living animal.
What about? the
Do not,
fish?
you're not supposed to eat from a fish that is still alive.
Oh, okay, but it's dead. You can still eat
Yeah,
it raw.
from a
Okay,
living
got it,
animal,
got it. Okay,
because
so
it
it's
makes
sushi.
that animal surf.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know what? Today in Japan, for instance, the fresher the fish is, the best it is. So they eat from living animals. It's
Not
why?
what
Because
we
that's
do.
how they do.
And I'm saying right. I'm saying right.
Yeah,
not
it's
what we do.
terrible. Yeah, and establish courts of law.
Okay.
So basically, this is a message to humanity. This is for all the Bnei Noach. The entire humanity should respect those laws. Okay, that's the purpose of Abraham Avinu. He's a descendant of Noach, right? He's a descendant of one of the sons of Noach, whose name is Shem. That's why we are the Shemites, the Semites. When we say anti-Semites, it comes from Sem, Shem. Shem was one of the sons of Noach. Okay.
How many sons did
He had 3.
Oh, and any girls?
Not that I know. Maybe. I don't.
But
That
they
I don't
don't
know.
talk.
I don't know. But Shem is where we come from. That's why they say, "Oh, he's an
So
anti-Semite."
Shem is our ancestor, so it's Noah and then Shem,
Shem.
and then Shem.
And
was-
from Shem descends Avram. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Avram is really like the vehicle. He's a vehicle of God in the sense that he's the first, by the way, the first wheel of the chariot of God, right? Because he imprints it in the entire humankind the idea that there is only one God, and these are the laws that all human beings have to.
Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it again a few times.
I can send it to you after
Yeah,
if you want.
okay.
These are the 7 laws that all human beings should respect. And when you think about it,
I'm
those are
listening.
just laws.
Okay,
Those are just laws of
of humanity.
Like there's nothing crazy about it for us today. Do not worship idols, recognize and serve only the one God, do not curse God, honor and revere the name of God, do not murder, human life is sacred,
Yep.
taking a life, because why? Because at that time, human sacrifices were very common. They would do that all the time.
Murder.
Yeah, but they would sacrifice in the name of that God and that God and that God, and they would kill people. Do not engage in sexual immorality, prohibits
That's
adultery,
adultery,
you're right,
yeah.
incest, bestiality, and other forbidden relationships.
But isn't Abraham committing incest by marrying his niece?
Not at all. What is incest?
Incest is your brother and sister,
Yeah, and
father and mother, but
exactly.
you can marry your uncle.
Of course.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
you know,
I
you
know.
told me last time, everybody married their uncle. Yeah,
Uncle.
that was totally normal. That was totally normal at that time.
Okay.
So that's not incest. Incest is with a child, with a mother.
Okay.
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 Establish courts of laws. Okay. Respect life of an animal. Avoid cruelty. Do not eat flesh taken from a live animal.
Got it.
And create a just legal system to uphold these laws
Great.
and ensure justice in society.
Great.
So basically, Abraham Avinu is bringing that to the entire world. And this is still our mission today. And that's also why there's so much hatred against Jews. Why? Because when you think about it, who wants to be told how to act? Nobody likes people who tell you, oh, you should act like this, you should be moral, you should have an ethic, right? Nobody. And these are the Jews. And this is the light of Judaism since Abraham Avinu came to earth.
Yeah.
We are the bearer of that torch. So we have to know that this is an inclusive message. This is a universal message, not even inclusive, universal message. Now, you're speaking about something else also. When did we become exclusive? And you mentioned that in your question, you have your answer. When did we become the chosen people? You use that word, right? You know when? In Shavuot, which is coming up in 2 weeks. Wow.
So my parents tried for 4 years, and my great-grandmother Miriam had Alzheimer's, and on her deathbed, she told my grandmother Judith in her arms, does Yasi, my dad Eliyahu, have a kid, have a baby? She didn't know, she had Alzheimer's, and Judith said, no, they've been trying for 4 years. And before she died, her last words were it was her favorite. He was one of 5, he was the middle, he was her favorite. She said, give him. When she
Wow.
died. And then my mom got pregnant and I was born on Shavuot.
Wow.
So my
And that's why it's Miriam, your
And that's
name.
why and my parents, to this day, my dad said, you were the God gave Jews Torah and God gave me you.
Wow.
Always. You're my gift from God. You're my gift from
Wow.
God. I'm gonna cry because he like loves me so much. Yeah, they like really. My mom really believes too. Like, crazy believers, both in Hashem. I mean
Okay.
Hashem. So, and I, when I was 9, when my Saba Moshe died, my parents weren't kosher, and we were at a restaurant, and I said, Dad, like, for Saba Moshe, I want to be kosher. I was 9 years old. And my dad said, you want to be kosher? And I said, yeah. He said, then we are all kosher
Wow.
from this moment in time. And your sister has no choice. My 5-year-old sister had no choice. And my parents became kosher.
Wow.
And to this day, so I can never give it up also because
It's your responsibility
I've made my
towards your grandfather also.
towards Saba Moshe,
Wow.
who is Mama Yudit's husband. Yeah, so anyway, that's
Beautiful.
thank you. So yeah, so I've always loved Judaism. Like I'm born loving Judaism somehow. I live for it. I love it.
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch.
So
Okay.
as you said, we are the chosen people. And today, becoming part of the chosen people is not that easy. It's a journey.
Okay.
Converting is a journey,
Okay.
right? Why is it? And why did it become that? It always was a journey.
Okay.
The first convert was Yitro. Yitro is the father of Tzipporah. Yeah.
Who's Sipporah?
The wife of Moshe Rabbeinu.
Moses.
Yeah.
She was a Somalian, right?
She was from Midian. She was a Midianite.
Midianite, but she was like dark skinned.
Yes, exactly.
And Miriam didn't like her. I read
No.
about Miriam liked her,
Yes, yes.
but Miriam didn't like talk bad about her or something, and then he forced her with leprosy.
No. So that's not what
Sorry.
really happened. No, no.
Okay.
It's another story. But
Okay.
basically, no, it's when Moshe Rabbeinu went on Har Sinai and became so holy, when he came down, he said, I cannot be, I am so holy that I cannot be now in contact physically with my wife. So he divorced her. And actually, Miriam said, why did you divorce your wife?
Yeah.
And the fact that she said that to her level of prophecy and greatness, it was considered Lashon Hara. And that's why Hashem, she went through leprosy. Sarah.
So even the word of saying somebody else's name is considered Lashon Hara.
Not really, but for her level,
because she was
such a tzaddikat. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but no, it's not that she didn't like her. She did not understand that the level her brother had reached was a level that no other human being will ever reach.
Correct.
And therefore, he didn't really have the status. He couldn't have the status of a married man at that moment. He couldn't become intimate with her. Exactly. But let's leave that for another question because no, don't worry. But let's go back to Shavuot. So we're speaking about why is Judaism such, do you mind if I put you also in the camera? So it's interesting. So I'm going to come next to you.
Okay.
Why has it become such an exclusive religion? So basically, it has always been because the Torah was given to us on Har Sinai, right? There was 71 nations. There was Am Israel and 70 nations, right? Hashem proposed the Torah to each other nation.
Okay.
Each nation refused for a different reason. Okay. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't agree. I agree with those mitzvot, but not with this one. And the truth is that in order to receive the Torah, and it's still the case today when someone wants to convert, the person has to say, I agree the entire Torah. I sign a contract. It's a contract. When you get married with someone, you sign a ketubah. On the ketubah, it says this is the responsibility of your husband, right? On the ketubah, it's a contract. The ketubah is a contract of marriage.
Remembering mine.
So you have certain responsibilities that the husband has to take care for the woman.
Okay.
He cannot say, I'm getting married with you, but this responsibility of feeding her, being responsible for putting a roof on her head, no, I'm sorry, this is her problem. I don't want to deal with that. No, I'm sorry.
Right.
This is part of the contract, right? You don't negotiate.
Right.
There's no negotiation. So basically, when Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah, it was a marriage between Am Israel and Hashem. And you know, when you get married, the husband, can I take your hand?
Yeah.
Okay. He gives you a ring, right? He places the ring on your finger, you hold the finger, and then he's going to ask a question. Areat mekudeshet li, right? Would you like to be mekud? Exactly. Kedat Moshe Israel, right? So what does it mean? It means, will you become kadosh mekudeshet? Mekudeshet means you're becoming kadosh to me. What does it mean,
Holy
kadosh?
to me.
Holy is a translation of kadosh, it's true, but it means distinguished. It means that our relationship as husband and wife will be like no other relationship of a man and a woman in the world. You are not a regular woman to me, you're my wife. There is an attachment, a separation in our relationship. Our relationship is stronger than the relationship with my parents, than the relationship with my kids, than the relationship with all the other women. You become kadosh to me. Our relationship is distinguished. It's beautiful, right?
And you don't say it back, right? You're supposed to say,
No.
no, you don't.
You accept
You accept.
by doing that. And it means that I accept to be yours and you accept, and now you are mine. And the fact that we belong to one another, nobody else belongs to that. There is a shlemut, a completion between the husband and the wife that exists nowhere else. So this is what happened to Hashem and Am Israel. And the ketubah is the Torah. And instead of saying, Areat mekudeshet li, he told us that, and we said, Naaseh v'nishma. We will
Listen and do.
and then we will understand.
Okay.
This is our way.
Blindly. We said it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had unwavering faith.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we got married that day to him. And the
Okay.
Torah is our ketubah. So now I want to ask you something. Can a chatan marry everyone? No. He will marry one person, the one that completes him. He chooses his kala. The fiancé chooses his wife. And there's only one wife.
Okay.
If you want to be that wife, you have to comply to the ketubah. So basically, becoming Am Israel, because it means that's chosen people who got the merit to be elected as the wife of Hashem.
Okay. So the Jewish people were like his, yeah, okay.
He's like his wife, in the sense we have been chosen, and we're called at that moment an Am, a people, Kadosh.
Okay.
Because we have been mekudesh to him.
Hashem.
We have been,
distinguished
we are distinguished from any other
nation.
nation. So people can come in this nation, but they have to really want to be part of it, because it's a privilege to be Am Israel, but there is no such thing as a privilege without a responsibility.
Okay.
Privilege always comes with a responsibility, and it's
Okay.
a responsibility to be a Jew.
Okay.
Because why? Because we're that light to the nation. Remember, Avraham Avinu? We have to be that model, that role model, and that torch bearer for the entire universe, for the entire humankind. It's a huge responsibility, meaning that you have to behave. You have to be moral. You have to treat others with respect. You have to respect yourself. You have to be there for the other. All the laws of the Torah are just a guide on how to be a light to the nations. This is how one person has to behave. You earn money, give 10%. The maaser. You have money, give tzedakah, because there's others who don't have money.
Mm-hmm.
You use your time during the week.
It's 10%.
Yeah, the maaser is 10%.
Okay.
Tzedakah, no, it doesn't need to be 10%. You give tzedakah.
Okay.
And
It's discretionary.
yes.
Okay.
And you have to, for instance, like for 6 days you work. Oops. You want to answer?
It just making sure it's not my kids.
Yes. For 6 days you work and you have other people work for you, you have to give them 1 day off. Why? Because this day off is the day when Hashem created rest, exactly it's Shabbat. And it's the day where we have to reconnect to the essential in our life, whether it's Hashem, whether it's ourselves, whether it's our kids, our family, our husbands. This is a necessary time to reconnect to the essence of our life, to what is important in our life. So why are we exclusive? Why is it so difficult to come to join the club? Because it's not that difficult. The truth is just that are you ready to walk in the ways of Hashem? When you were born a Jew, you have your choice, but you're already signed up the contract. You're part of the family already, right? So you don't choose. The only thing you can choose is, will I respect the laws or not? But I don't choose. A Jew is a Jew. Whoever is born a Jew, he can convert lo aleinu to Christianity or whatever, he will still remain a Jew, right? But if you were not born a Jew, meaning that you were not born with this, you only have 7 laws, not 613 laws. 7 laws to keep the world lit, to keep the light of Hashem in the world. 7 laws. If you decide to take upon yourself those 613 responsibilities, are you sure you're going to be able to keep them? Yes or no? And why is it a process? Because you have to learn them in order to say, yes, I want to. Because today we cannot say Naaseh v'nishma, I will do and then I will see. No, people want to know. What do you mean? Like, I'm not going to sign a white paper and then you fill it in with something. I want to know what's on the contract. So that's why there is the conversion process. We teach a candidate to conversion what the Torah is. What are those laws? What is it, Shabbat? What is a shul? I started teaching because I started teaching women who wanted to convert to Judaism. That's how I started teaching. And I had women who wanted to become Jews. They had never stepped into a shul. They didn't know anything about Judaism. They went to Israel and they felt a connection, for one of them, for instance. Or they had friends who were Jews and they loved the Shabbat. And they wanted to know more about it. Some of them didn't end up converting because they felt like, you know what, like, it's not for me. It's okay. I don't feel okay with that. I prefer to keep with my 7 Noachid laws. And I still connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because you don't need to be a Jew to serve Hashem. When you are not a Jew, when you are not born a Jew, you serve Hashem with 7 laws as a Bene Noach, as a Ben Noach, as a Bat Noach. You don't need to enter the Jewish people. And that's one thing that I always ask the women who want to convert, like, today you have 7 laws, right? You're responsible for 7 things, which are things that most people do respect, right? When we think about it, we don't eat from a living animal. We have a legal system. Do not steal. That's something very important to learn, because sometimes we don't realize we download things. We think there's the copyright and we don't pay for the copyright. That's stealing, literally. We don't realize that certain things are stealing. So there's something to learn here. We don't engage in sexual immorality, okay? Maybe for some people it's difficult. We do not murder. For some people maybe it's difficult, right? But those things are more or less easy to achieve. It's doable, right? But entering 613 responsibilities, it's another thing. Are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
So that's why it's not that we became exclusive when we were chosen as a distinguished nation.
And given a huge responsibility.
A huge responsibility.
Okay.
And we should be proud to be holding that responsibility for the entire humanity.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, the idea is not to impose on the humanity. And that's what I personally love about Judaism.
Yeah.
We don't force people to convert.
Yeah.
When you think about it, Christianity, with the Crusades and everything, killed millions of Jews, Protestants, and other people who were not like them, who were not, just because they didn't believe the same way, so they were killed,
Yeah.
they were burnt, they were, right?
Yes, you're 100% right.
Then Islam did the same. Then why? Why should a human being impose his own belief to somebody else?
Right.
Judaism says, listen, we are a light. We just show you, we shed light on a reality. Hashem created this world. He just wants those 7 laws to be applied by the entire humankind. Now it's your responsibility. You're empowering people to make the right choice. You're not killing people because they don't believe like you. See, this is being a Jew. So yes, it's exclusive, but not in a wrong way.
Right.
It's not because we don't have consideration for the others. It's just because we have been chosen to have a purpose that is not exactly the same. It doesn't mean that the others are less than us.
Yeah.
It just means that we are here for them. We are here to serve them, to help them know Hashem, to help them know how Hashem wants all of us to live.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You have another, you want to go into another question, or we
I don't have another one
Okay.
right now. You've answered it.